This is the gathering of members of the Old School Drinking Podcast. You might ask why you're doing a new podcast considering the millions that exist. Our goal is simple: to encourage people to gather in neighborhood bars and talk. Talk not only to people who agree with you, talk to people who think you're an idiot. Understand that the only way we will survive as a society is if we can get beyond our various camps and identities. This is why we're here, to save an institution that historically brought us together. Also, we like to drink. Ready?
I suppose.
Okay. Today, I think, is the 22nd gathering, from what I can figure out,
I believe that is correct.
of Old School Drinking.
Also, I think the last one finally finished uploading about an hour ago.
Okay, that's
Took
good.
2 days. I don't know why.
That's fine.
Anyway,
Today, we're at the Oasis bar in
The old
Rogers Park,
homestead.
our usual home base. Although we have changed our position, we are now doing the same thing we did last week at
in the window. Feel
at,
free to come by and look
at
us
our
up.
previous bar, and I think it's a better situation than staring into the dark.
Well, when it was just dark out there anyway, it wasn't all that much fun. And
Yep.
now that we actually have some light, we're probably going to need to go ahead and invest in some actual portable lighting for the future.
Oh God,
Or I was thinking we just go with night vision.
that would be okay. I look better in green. No problem. Today the co-hosts, as usual, are John and Joe, and our guest today is going to be Rocky.
Because she got suckered into it.
Exactly. I mean, we do better when we have mixed panels, to say the least. So, what are we drinking tonight?
I'm back to the Shiner.
And Rocky doesn't know what she has because
have
I bought
beer.
it for her.
Mystery beer.
She has a Miller Lite, and I've got a Tullamore Dew, continuing in the heavier alcohol rather than beer move here.
I feel like I need to get a Mountain Dew and some Tullamore Dew and pour them together and see how bad that tastes.
Mountain Dew and Tullamore Dew.
It would be awful.
Double Dew.
It would be awful.
Mountain Dew and whiskey. I mean,
Ew.
it's not like I haven't done it before, but
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about the news now. First of all, from my standpoint, I hope the Jewish population has a joyous Passover here.
Yes.
We also had hoped that our Islamic friends had a better Ramadan than they did, and I apologize from my heart for that. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happened in the neighborhood. Sheridan Gorman and Michael Altman. Sheridan Gorman was the student that got killed on the pier, and Michael Altman was the fireman that lost his life fighting a fire that was set by someone and falling through into the basement, I think is what he did, and passed away. There was just a funeral for him. In town, funerals for the police department and fire department are huge things that happen. I mean, massively huge. I'm not sure what's happening with the Sheridan Gorman thing. I would assume the family's being very circumspect about what they're doing, and I support them in that fully. I'm just disappointed in the weirdness of it. And I can't figure out the Gorman thing at all. I mean, I've been trying to rationalize it and figure out what's going on. And I even got to the stage I thought, well, maybe it's a gang initiation, and then
No.
and then maybe
Absolutely not.
and then maybe it's a guy that's here illegally and is willing to do anything, including go to prison for the rest of his life, not go back to Venezuela. I mean,
Which also just really definitely doesn't make any sense considering
No, but nothing makes sense about it. It is a senseless crime,
Yeah.
and I feel badly about it. From the local news standpoint, skipping down a little bit, our mayor, and I said, quote, was quoted as saying, "Don't worry about sending your kids to college in Chicago." And I think that's probably the least sensitive thing I've ever heard.
Why?
Instead of just saying, "Hey, there's a problem here, we should fix it." Oh, I don't want anyone to be upset enough that they would not send their kids to Chicago because we can't be safe. I think that was just a weird thing.
Well,
To
I don't
say.
think anybody in Chicago politics knows how to approach this in a
Oh,
sensible
I would
way.
agree.
I know
I would agree.
Alderman here. has
Well, we'll
pissed
talk
off
about
lot
that
of
a little
people,
bit too.
But I don't think there's anything. Yeah, I don't think there's any sense to be had.
Well, and that's the third thing that's on the list in hyperlocal news is the fact that the 49th Ward office closed because of statements that she made in her car the day of. Meaning that very morning. The shooting took place at 1 a.m,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So she was in her car and did an interview that wasn't the most sensitive thing I've ever heard.
Right.
And basically got her in a problem that everyone started going after her on social media.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings. On one hand, those who live by social media can expect to die by social
Absolutely.
media. On the other hand, I don't know how we got LGBTQ people involved in that discussion. From my perspective, that it's just, we live in a time when sensitivity is gone, meaning people thinking really hard about what they're going to talk about and say, and it's been replaced by emotion and anger.
Okay.
Do you think that has something to do with all of the ways people can communicate on the internet? What am I thinking about here?
Well, we are neither of us are social media mavens.
There you go, social
to say-
media.
social media mavens in any way. I mean, even when I was a city council person, I had a media person that handled my social media. And as far as I know, it's still open, but not really doing anything.
They're still yelling at you. Desert Hot Springs.
But they're not things that we deal with because they have no attachment to the life we live.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's unusual. I read someplace that the number of people that are on X now is actually getting smaller rather than getting bigger. So I think everybody's having at least thoughts about it, about the nature of social media. And you see the same thing with email even. People tend to be more of an asshole with email or anything that they can do online versus if they're face to face with someone.
Okay.
But that's been that way forever. I remember when we worked in the bookstore and people got really hateful in not inner office, but
On emails that went around.
and they would get just brutal
And then be smiley.
Yeah, and that kind of anonymous, I could say whatever I want, leads to cruelty. Just does.
Well, and I think, I've been thinking a lot about what we've been talking about on this podcast. And the fact that in some ways I am divorced from a lot of reality in this country right now.
Why?
I think because, number one, I'm not out that much, meaning I spend time out and doing things and things like that, but not with a huge group of people, with a smaller group of people that would be normal in a lot of ways. Although I think that's part of the problem too. I thought a lot about growing up, and I don't know about your parents, but what I remember a lot from growing up was as soon as I was relatively tall, and that would probably be about fifth grade, I was closing on 6 feet tall. My parents determined that we didn't need babysitters, so I became babysitter for my
Okay.
brother, who was 6 years younger than I was.
Okay.
And what I can remember was there was a real social life for people. My parents went out a lot. They were in a position that they went bowling, they went
Played bridge.
square dancing, they played bridge.
Mm-hmm.
They did all sorts of things that basically put them in a position that they went out and met other people. And I think a lot of that life has gone.
It's gone. Absolutely.
My brother still bowls, although I could kid him a little bit about how well he bowls.
Hey,
That's another whole matter. At least he gets
he's still
out.
going. He's still doing it. There's still a bowling alley he can go to. So that's
Exactly.
also good.
That's the miracle.
Then there aren't many. They are
They're
closing
way
down.
fewer than there used to be.
They're closing down. And
Great first date destination.
It used to be.
well, we didn't go out bowling on our first date. Who'd you go out bowling with? I want answers now.
He was cute.
His name was
Oh,
Steve.
good. Now, not only did he take you
And
bowling, but he was cute.
243.
I'll forgive you since it was almost 60 years ago. Okay.
I can't even remember his name.
That's good. Anyway,
And he'll see
I
this
thought
and cry a little bit. She forgot me. Oh, no.
the interesting thing about the closure of the 49th Ward office was they closed it because they thought there was going to be a demonstration.
Okay, are you saying like closed, just like shut down for the
They
day
cut
or a
it down
couple of
for 2 days.
Okay,
They-
so it's like not like closed down, empty. She's moved it. Like there's still
No.
an office. Okay,
It's still
she
there.
just shuttered to wait for the storm to blow.
Yeah, and basically
So
no one
files of
showed up for the
courage.
demonstration,
Yeah.
so it was sort of weird. There's a
I mean-
paranoia about things.
There's no reason to protest for one, middle of the morning offhand comment that was not meant to be
Offensive in
offensive.
any way.
And I stand by my original statement of, yeah, the kids shouldn't be running around down there at 1:30 in the morning because 1, it's dangerous. 2, it's dangerous. 3, the cops used to kick me out of there when I was running around down there.
And we're
I
dangerous.
think the kids need to have the same level of crap that I put up with.
Yeah.
They need to put up with it. Damn it.
Well, I'm
You
not
haven't
going
lived
to.
until
I'm not
the
going to
cops
go
are,
into.
like,
I'm not going
hauling
to
you
go
away.
into victim blaming here.
I'm not victim blaming. I'm
Well,
blaming
you were
cops
just saying that
I'm
they shouldn't
blaming
be
the
down
cops
there.
for not doing their job. No, they should be down there, but they should be careful and hiding from the cops, like we had to. Hear that,
Okay.
CPD? Get to fucking work.
Um,
Anyway,
another thing that's gone on, and I don't know whether you know this, is a local news sort of a thing. We've had a semi outbreak of measles in
is that why I've been
Chicago,
itchy?
and
Oh, no.
April Fool's Day.
yeah, I think that's what part of that was, because it was something that was done at
Well, I saw
O'Hare.
something about O'Hare briefly.
Yeah, it was something
yeah.
O'Hare. So I think they may have gotten a traveler that had the
And
measles
then
that
there's
came
a bunch of
in.
people that may or may not been exposed. And I'm
So-
actually curious. Like, I know I had vaccines earlier in life. I'm hoping they're
I
still
think
up
I've
to
had
date.
the measles. So
Yeah, I had the measles,
yeah.
and so
See, we've gotten a different kind of immunity.
The
meaning
old-fashioned
we
way,
got
yeah.
it.
And I
survived.
was, born in the 70s, and we got a ton of shots. I have all the vaccines.
Well, and yeah, I think everybody's gotten shot. to say
And also,
the least
I think
since
we
then.
need to develop an anti-vaccine that will remove people's immunity if you've had a vaccine. So oh, you don't like vaccines? Stay away. Come here. And,
You're
okay,
on your
guess
own.
what, buddy? Have fun with polio.
Well, and that's the insanity of it. The insanity of it is unbelievable. And to have
Yeah.
the guy running our health system that we do is
He is a gold for anybody who gets the reference. Think about it.
okay.
I don't think anybody's going to get it, but it's still fun.
On the positive front, Rocky and I and
rubber chicken.
a few 100,000 of our friends went down to
No Kings.
the No Kings thing down in the park.
And did you follow my advice and go down early and leave late?
We did not,
Oh, okay.
because I did research.
Yeah.
Number one, that this was not the last one started at 11.
Okay.
This one started at 1:30.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I did research on what breakfast places were available.
Well,
around.
It's at 1:30, you're going for lunch, not breakfast.
Well, but
Unless
what
you're like me, and it doesn't matter when you eat your eggs.
what happened was this: we decided we would have a breakfast at 9 o'clock
Okay.
at our friend's house.
Nice.
Who suggested that? We got on the train, not on the bus, which was another positive.
Okay.
We got down there, and we were down there early enough. We went by the Palmer House
Okay.
and drank a little before.
Yeah. Okay. So you did go down early.
A little early, and then after we got done, we went to Miller's Pub afterwards. So we made it not only into a
So you
actually
actually did do what I suggested.
sort of in a different way.
No, it's actually exactly what I suggested. Exactly what I.
You did not suggest that we go early and drink. You suggested we go down and have breakfast.
Well, I said go down early.
Well,
and
it's
eat
not
late.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You may remember. Well, you two don't need to bicker enough. You need to bicker more. Just because I implied, going down to get breakfast, and you
No, you did not imply.
Did not think that mimosas were included.
You did not imply. You said breakfast.
And
So
have we not been to Tweet? You can drink for
Exactly.
breakfast, especially in a lot of places downtown, especially on the weekends, especially at noon.
Anyway, it was a great situation. No problems again as usual. I applaud.
I heard, no arrests.
No, and I applaud the PD. We went and talked to a couple of them and shook their hands and said thank you. And I think that was the attitude of 99% of the people that were there.
Most of the cops. Don't get me wrong, cops. I know a bunch of you. You're all jerks, but you're our jerks.
But anyway, it was again. We've been to all three No Kings. We've been to a couple of others.
I forgot to send rubber chickens along.
Actually, the Rubber Chicken Battalion had rubber chickens and decided not to take them. We also decided not to take chairs.
No, I don't want to do that.
Which was, I think, a mistake because of one of our people.
I have an invention idea, and I'm going to share it with anybody who wants it, because I think this just needs to be a thing. And if you try to, patent this, I will violate that patent. But a combination protest sign that folds into a chair.
Okay, that seems like an interesting thing. Have you
take a
started
break.
designing it? Have you started designing this?
Well, in as much as I have a CAD file open with some lines on it.
Okay.
But give me a little time. I should have the prototype ready for the next time you go protesting, and you can take one of these.
And put
when
my
you need
sign
to-
on a pole and then stick
you-
it down in the chair and just relax and enjoy it.
I hope you were going to put something like a bicycle seat on it rather than just sitting on the pole.
What are you talking about?
How do you make a
You know
sign
what?
into?
We're gonna bypass this. You have no faith in my design abilities, apparently.
No, I have a lot
It's
of
not
faith.
a hole that you just stick up your ass and then you stick yourself into the ground. I'm not making us into scarecrows, man. No.
Well, the confusion on my
Anyway.
part was protest sign and chair.
Well, no, the pole folds out into a chair, kind of like the collapsible chairs that you can carry around, but this one a little more lightweight and only good for just chilling out for a short period of time. Also, Artemis is stuck at 10 minutes, T-minus 10 minutes.
They may have a problem with a battery.
No, they're in the standard hold, I think.
We are watching the Return to the Moon happen
Return
here.
to the vicinity of the moon.
Yeah, they're going to.
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're
Hey,
going to the
it's
moon.
the furthest humans gonna like that we know of has been
My
considered
favorite
from the Earth.
My favorite on the discussion of this and things that were going on one of the channels I was watching earlier was something along the lines of, well, at least we're going now, from someone that believed we didn't go the first time.
Yeah.
So
I completely. It's all a hoax.
there you
It's all a
go.
lie.
They would use the same sound stage they used in Norton Air Force Base, but Norton Air Force Base is no longer there.
So now they have to move it to. Like, that's
It
why
is now
Elon Musk has been building that thing in Texas.
Here we
There
go.
you go.
There we
Also,
go.
It was pointed out
Oh,
to me.
this one's taken on.
It was
air.
pointed out to me the other day that the Earth's oceans are covered 90% of the planet, or not 70% of the planet,
70.
and none of it is carbonated. Like so you could say that the Earth is flat.
Oh,
Actually, that's pretty.
They
good.
were right.
That's
That
pretty.
was
good.
not mine. I'm stealing that one. Thank you, Megan.
Oh,
That's a
speaking
good
of that, bar stories.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I was trying to think of that earlier, and I had one, and it has kind of
Slipped away.
slipped through.
Well, we'll do something else here, letting everyone pause to think that if they have a good one. This includes you too. If you
Yeah,
have a
good
bar
bar stories.
story you can remember from back in the 70s and 80s.
oh, well.
Anyway,
I have trouble remembering them in the 70s.
I
and
continue
80s.
on the national
No.
news portion of this.
I do have one, but when we'll
Okay,
finish
we'll
the
talk
national-
about
we'll
it
finish
after
the
the
national
news. Yeah. Again, all I've got here is continued crazy economy, military being worn down, long deployments. Who the hell knows what's going on here?
Oh, I love the whole, threatening to blow up the desalination plants and take out civilian infrastructure. I'm like, this is all very war crimey.
It is.
It certainly is.
This is all we have gone full on. Like, didn't Lex Luthor become president in one of the Superman continuities? And
Oh, good
did
God.
all sorts of shit. Is Trump trying to go supervillain, but he's too dumb to do it in a good way?
I don't know. I'm not much of a
But we are
Superman
now-
person.
Well, I'm just saying we are now, like we can't. Like, oh.
Well,
Also, thank you, Congress, for doing jack all this. Stop
Yeah.
this shit, and everyone
Thank
who's
you.
enabled it. We're going to remember this, and
Yep.
we're going to remember you.
in November, not far away. You can spend a lot of money, but it's not going to help.
You can't erase what you did.
And
It's time for a Guy Fawkes equivalent for America in 2026. What are we going to blow up?
well, do we have any place
Do we
where we
get
can
the
stick
masks and
barrels of
everything?
I don't see
gunpowder
a
under
reason
these
not
things?
to, but we're not doing gunpowder plot. We're going to do something crazy.
Well, I mean-
remember that that's a
The gunpowder treason plot.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's.
I'm almost getting-
I'm so worn out.
Exactly. I'm almost numb.
I have been for a while. I'm ready to just say, like, let it burn. Let's wipe ourselves out. Let the cockroaches build a better world in 10,000 years. Because we've obviously fucked this.
Well, before we go there, I really want to see the Epstein files.
I don't. I just want everybody in the Epstein files to have the full copy of however many millions of pages there are. I want to see each one of those guys have that amount of paper shoved up their ass
There you go.
on live TV.
I don't.
I think that'd be a very
As
interesting
peaceful as
exercise.
you are, you certainly get into violent discussions about things.
I'm only peaceful on the outside. I'm a believer in the need for some semblance of justice. I just don't think we live in a world where justice really exists. And
I- I think
we're supposed to be in Star Trek, man. We're supposed to be like, we already have the technology to be post scarcity, and I'm still like giving people $1 on the freaking street because they don't have any food or a place to live. Like, how do we let ourselves get this bad? And yet we got these people who have more money than they're ever going to be able to spend.
Especially considering one person, meaning our friend Elon, could spend his money to end hunger and housing problems and everything else.
Oh yeah, and then he offers to do it, and then he somebody actually calls him out on it, and then he disappears.
Yeah.
And apparently now he's got a stupid mustache. So
well, and I guess where I'm going with the national news is I'm almost numb right now that every day is bad.
It just keeps getting dumber.
Again, for him, for the latest dumb thing that he did was he decided today to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah, that's great.
During an argument,
citizenship
to see if his very presence would tilt in his favor,
as if his strength of personality somehow or another.
Well, it's his Superman-like eyeballs.
I put you on that court. You're mine. Vote my way. Man.
Well, he's a very transactional man, and that's probably exactly what he thinks.
Well, yeah, that is exactly what he thinks.
Well, this was a bully move.
Absolutely.
He's been a bully his whole life, and still someone out there that went to military school with his ass come forward and tell everyone what a bully he was in fucking military school too.
I would say he was a little pussy back then, but that's giving him more credit because he lacks the warmth and depth.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, so much for national news. It's
a nightmare out there. People, take care of each other. Be kind as
to
much
one
as you
another.
Possibly can be
to one another.
If you can be helpful. If you can, not yell at the idiot who just cut you off. Try not to yell. Just accept that we're all flawed individuals and we can do better. But we also
now wait a minute. I've driven with you. I'm not sure you follow that.
I tried.
I know. Just kidding.
I have a little bit of road rage.
I think road
control.
rage is one of your issues.
There's a reason why I don't keep a gun in my car. I'll say that right now.
Which is good for the world.
It would be like the only people that would benefit from me having a gun in the car is tire stores. There would be a lot more people needing new tires. Anyway,
that's ricochet time.
No, I'd be aiming for the tires.
I know, it's still ricochet time.
Hey, my aim's getting better.
Okay, go ahead.
So here's my bar story. This is yet another bar story that actually happened in the Oasis, and I'm guessing probably about 2001, 2002. I hate the term politically correct, but I also do my best not to
have good manners.
Offend people unnecessarily. If I say something offensive, I normally mean it. I like making jokes, but I tend to not make jokes about people specifically. Most of my jokes are like inwardly directed, unless I'm making fun of Al Gore.
How could you make fun of Al?
The Al Gore rhythm was freaking great. Like, I didn't even know he was a musician.
Okay. Yeah. It's good you got out of the joke business.
I didn't say it was a good joke. So my buddy and I are sitting in here, and this other guy comes in, and either Blazing Saddles was on one of the TVs, or somehow or another we started talking about Mel Brooks. And one of the things about me is I can recite the entirety of Blazing Saddles, beginning to end, including the theme song. I can sing the theme song.
Please don't.
Anyway, so we're sitting there, and there's a line in Blazing Saddles where one of the townsfolk, and I'm going to paraphrase because there are words that I do not feel comfortable saying, but it's we'll take the N words and the C words, but no Irish. And then all the miners who are coming to, the railroad workers are trying to help him, like, no deal. And then the guy's like, oh, prairie shit, everybody. And, you know, the only time I can allow myself to say these certain words that I personally find offensive is if I'm quoting Mel Brooks. And I happen to just be drunk enough and just be loud enough and just be like, the bar is empty and I think everything's fine. So I just, you know, yell it out.
And
Right as the door behind me opened. My back was to the door. It was summertime. The front door was open. The swinging doors just started to open up as I yelled it out. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, well, shit. Turn around. Sure enough, 3 linebacker-sized black guys. Just huge. I'm like, I guess I'm going to die today. Hey, guys, how you doing? You like Mel Brooks? I love Blazing Saddles. And the big guy in the middle takes a step forward. Fucking love Blazing Saddles.
That's only because,
You know,
Madeline Kahn offered more knockwurst or whatever it was.
morons. I'm like, I'm John. He's like, I'm Maurice. It's like, pull up chairs, guys. I'm buying drinks. And we made friends. We traded, Mel Brooks quotes for the next 2 hours, and I avoided dying thanks to Mel Brooks.
Thanks to
Because
Even though it was his fault, it was my fault. That's my bar story for today.
and
there-
you survived.
I guess. I mean, this could all just be like a fever dream that I'm having as I'm bleeding out, waiting for the ambulance to arrive still. We are now at 37, 36, 35, 34. Let's take a little
Okay,
break.
we're taking
gonna
a break.
We're going to take a turn and watch the launch, which is 28, 27, 26. Oh, please. All right, well, NASA hasn't fucked up yet, which is good. Because I don't trust them anymore either.
Oh, how could you say that? Jeez.
Who wants to
Anyway.
live forever, buddy?
Not me. I just want to see how it ends.
Well, we will see. It appears that so far everything's okay, and we hope that that's going to continue.
Earth is going to get another season. Like a television show, not like
Okay.
another.
And that's
Actually,
going to
5
be.
seasons would be kind of cool. Or 6, maybe. I like the idea of odd number of seasons. I don't know why.
Well, it's sort of what you have in a lot of places already.
Like technically here, there's just 2.5 seasons, and everything in between the two is just neuroticism.
Well, we tend to.
Like it was 70 degrees yesterday. It's 40 degrees
the
today.
weather around here is very strange.
Yeah, it's neurotic.
Wait around a little bit, and you'll find something you like.
Just like my ex-girlfriend, it's neurotic.
And what we've found, since we're afoot most of the time, since we don't have a car, is it is very much microclimated.
Oh,
meaning
yeah, absolutely. Well, you're right next to
in
the
two
lake.
blocks, the thing can change.
Oh yeah.
You can have a downpour, and then all of a sudden it's not raining, and then it's the sun's out, and then you go back into
Have you had the
downpour.
experience yet where you're walking down the street and it actually is like raining kind of hard on the other side of the street and just like completely missing
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's
During the
like-
last rains we had, and then
every time, like, it's only happened to me like twice in 30 years, but every time it's happened, it's like,
my favorite though happened right on this corner. We
There's
were
something
coming to
going
do
on.
something,
yeah,
and there was a 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing west on this side. You walk to the other side,
Oh, yeah,
and there was a
it's like-
30-mile-an-hour wind blowing from the east.
you gotta love the wind tunnel. That
Yeah,
affects
it
the city.
is. It is a strange situation, to say the least. And we were talking about this. We grew up I grew up in California. Rocky grew up everywhere in the world, but was in California finally.
Just in time to find you.
Just a little before that. And but what you get in California is you get 350 days of the same.
Yeah.
basically. Sunlight,
Well, in
it's
Southern California, in the
warm.
deserts.
Yeah, it's warm, blah, blah, blah. Here, when you get a good day, like we had a stupendous day on Monday.
Yeah.
We've been through a really weird winter, to say the least. And Monday was over 70 degrees, nice and warm, no real wind. We walked along in the park. Park was full of people, basically exercising and walking and doing everything you can think of. And the next day, it's 40 degrees, rainy, and may snow here. So you basically get whatever kind of weather you want here. But when you get a good day, people don't mess around. They go outside, they celebrate, and they have a good time. So that sort of folds into what I wanted to talk about, which is sort of strange. And I sort of prefaced it with discussing my perception on how people have changed.
Okay.
And that is, our Constitution not only talks about freedom in the Declaration of Independence, also, it talks about happiness.
The pursuit of happiness.
Right. Which to me sounds like happiness. My point is, I think too often, again, attached to some of the discussions we've had lately, we leave out that part. We think, well, yes, we should all be free, but there is still the hanging Puritan ethic that we have in this country, that the only way you can be happy is if, fill in the blanks, if you have a lot of money, if you're attached to some religion of some sort. There are all sorts of quantities and qualities that can be attached to happiness, to say the least. And we're almost in a position as a society that we're adverse to other people being happy.
Yeah, I hate it when other people are happy.
I'm not talking in terms of what you're talking about. I'm talking in terms of what difference does it make to anyone what makes an individual happy, as long as it's not affecting negatively other people. We've talked about sexual issues as far as this is concerned, but there are all sorts of things that can be attached to that. We have a judgmental bias that sort of sits in our community as to what you should be happy about, and if you do something out of the ordinary, and you shouldn't be happy about it. This is a problem.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Okay, hit me.
Hit him, literally.
Okay.
She's done that before.
I think I understand what you're saying, and I agree to in a limited way. I think you're also
As usual.
making
As
a very
usual.
large generalization where in
Yeah.
your head you're meaning this very specific kind of a thing, and I'm applying it to, you mean it to apply to everything. And I think that's a semantic issue with our conversation.
kind
It
of
regularly pops up.
It does.
Kind of
But
where-
that's okay. That's okay.
So can
And
you
I'm
define,
not-
can you define a little
I'm
better?
not-
Can you give me an example of
I'm not-
who's complaining about what?
I'm not in a position.
I'm
I have
personally-
this figured out totally. I'm bringing it up as a discussion.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I need you to
And
flesh that out.
well, what I'm thinking is the judgment that takes place all the time with people who are different.
Like I made fun of somebody for
And-
liking the Twilight book series the other day, and
Well, I can't believe you had that kind of judgment. That is a definite minor one. I'm talking more in terms of people that want to go to war with people because of their sexual preferences, or where they came from, if they're immigrants, or if they're Dodgers or Angels fans. They're
neither
degradation.
Cardinals all the way. All the way.
There are all sorts of things that we attack one another about. That's where I'm coming from. And the way I look at it is, if it doesn't affect me and it makes that person happy,
again, I would say
I'm
that
fine.
I don't think it's as widespread and prevalent as it appears to be on the internet.
There you go. That's an
There's a
interesting
lot of
point.
it in the internet.
Yeah.
There's a lot less of it on the street. And
Well, because you have to confront people to their face.
yeah, and that goes back to
And you do have those.
anonymity breeds asshole behavior,
It breeds cruelty.
and that's why I put my name on all the stuff I write. Jerks.
Well, you don't write much though.
Not where you're reading.
No, but it
You
is
just
an
said yourself
interesting.
you're not on social media. What would you know?
It is.
I just have a perception here.
What are you saying?
And that's all that's necessary. I just need a perception. I don't need to be right.
This is the internet, after all.
And that,
Did you have something to say, Rick?
Yeah, I think that we are playing with fire with electronic communication, because it does exactly that. You're not there in person. People tend to take it up a couple of notches when they're not. They lose their good manners,
well, and I thought, holy cats, we've moved on from capitalization in emails to much more nastiness.
It also, I personally find the lack of proper grammar and punctuation.
Well, don't even get me
Electronic
started.
messaging.
I'm an English teacher. So,
I
don't
still
even-
use full punctuation when I send a text, including.
Oh, I know. And so most of the time I do too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
notice on our little sign though, there is no punctuation at all.
For now.
Someone's going to modify this.
It's like I had a Gen Z kid actually, like, why are you mad? Why are you mad? And he was like, what are you talking about? You always put a period at the end of the sentence when you text me. I'm like, yeah, that's show that it's the end of the sentence. Do you know what a period does? Like, well, we only do that when we're mad. I'm like,
What?
okay, now I'm going to give you
Otherwise, we
three
just do
instead
it.
of one.
Otherwise, we just do run-ons. Is basically what it
It's
is.
like, no, God,
Well,
I'm
now
sorry.
I know. Now I know why Donald Trump won the election.
I
Since
still
that's all
have
he
a
does.
copy of Strunk and White, and I freaking follow it, even though not religiously, because I have switched over to what was the other one, the APA.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you're showing your age. Now you're showing your age if you talk about Strunk and White.
Yeah, I do. And I also have a photoshopped cover of Drunk and White, or Drunk and Right, my style guide for how to behave in bars, which I have to finish writing and get
Oh,
published.
That'll be a fun one.
that's actually you shouldn't.
Oh, no,
Bring
that's
this
fine.
up.
Again, I'm not expecting to make money off this. I just want people to know how to properly behave in bars. Actually, in other bars, twice in the last week, I've had to basically correct young people who decided to walk up and start playing pool. Right after I set up the table, I stepped away from the table. It was all ready to go. I was getting a beer, waiting for the person I was going to play to come back from the bathroom, and they just walk right up, grab the ball, and start playing. I'm like, child,
That's rude.
child, you need to be taught. No one taught you how to behave. I'm going to teach you now. We can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. Trust me, the easy way is more fun, and I will buy you a drink. The hard way, you're going to need to go see a doctor to get the pool cue out of your ass.
What's the
Again,
easy way?
my friend
They
in
listen
his,
to me, I buy them a drink, and I teach them how
my
to
my
behave
my
in
friend again
bars.
shows his acclamation toward nonviolence.
I'm just saying, violence is an option. It is always an option. It is always a viable option. Is it the first option? No. Is it off the table? No.
So, the reason I brought this
Yeah.
up is I think that it is in some ways an antidote to all the friction we have now, that people, instead of immediately jumping to, oh, this person is abnormal, to quote Young Frankenstein,
Young Frankenstein.
since we're talking
Brooks.
about Mel Brooks stuff
Mel Brooks.
here, that it is not abnormal to be different. It is being human.
Sure.
There have, again, I say this over and over, have always been gay people. There have always been lesbians. There have always been transgender. This is not something that popped up in the last 10 years. It's something that has existed forever. And if those people are happy with their lives, I would rather they be happy than miserable and maintaining a persona that they feel like they have to force.
That's good.
Okay. But again, our fallback position is ew, for want of a better description, meaning they're different. Well, yeah, that people are different.
Well, there are anthropological and biological answers to some of those questions.
There
to
are.
an extent, yes, but
To
it's
an
also
extent.
been heavily amplified and weaponized over the course of
It's
especially
because-
American history, because we were populated by a bunch of people that most of Europe was like, you guys suck. Why don't you go over there?
Well, not anymore. According to our present fearless leader, we only want people from Scandinavia now.
Well, that was
for some reason.
well, because he likes the the hot towel blondes.
Well, and he's actually had to go to Eastern Europe.
Oh yeah,
So-
because the Scandinavian ones can smell the shithead in him and like stay away. But he can always hope. He thinks that like
There's
money got
always-
him a long way. Power was going to get him the rest of the way.
It's-
You hear that, Trump? You suck,
Well,
and not even in a good way, regardless of what Bubba says.
again, what I'm trying to do is put forth a
I maintain
View.
my right to be hateful towards hateful people.
I think that's the beginning of the problem, though. I mean, the fact that good people will shift themselves into a position that they will be hateful in a reasonable way, in a hatefulness towards fascism or a totalitarianism,
I will punch a Nazi.
totalitarianism in any way.
I will go to jail for punching a Nazi. I feel like that is worth it.
I don't know who's going to send you to jail for that. That's another whole
It is
matter.
still assault, and I
It's assault
recognize
and
that.
battery. Yeah.
I guess what I'm
Ooh,
saying.
hit him with a battery, and then it's assault and battery with a battery.
I guess what I'm saying is that both sides have
I was thinking
to,
like a car battery.
or a lock actually works better there. If you're going to do that, you need to watch prison stuff. Sock and lock. Sock and lock are the best things to use in that circumstance. A nice heavy lock.
I don't want to hurt my lock.
Well, I don't know if this is appropriate to anything you people have been talking about, but
Say it anyway.
I've been, one of the things that I think about to put myself to sleep at night is I've been thinking about the generations in my family, and I have touched people, I have embraced people who were alive before the turn of the 20th century. They were alive in the 1900s,
Okay.
and they're from Texas, so they were alive during, some pretty pivotal moments in American
Sure.
history. So that's one body of knowledge that's come down to me
Okay.
through generations. And then we get into the 21st century, and I'm trying to figure out what are going to be what's the word I'm searching for here? What are going to be the events that pull us together and cause us to have conversations and cause us to make decisions? And I'm interested in that, and then I'm interested in how are we bipedals that much difference than the quadrupeds that are just trying to stay alive.
Well, we part of what's happening, and from an anthropological standpoint, I've tried to look at this stuff for a long time because I took a lot of anthropology in college, actually. And there are lots of ethnocentric crap that goes on. There's no doubt about that. And the thing that most anthropologists fight about over the last 50, 60 years is what makes us human, what makes us different from other animals.
No, we're not.
And no, I think that there are differences. I think there are differences.
We're the only ones with shame.
What was the swarm book I looked at? I forget what the full title of it is. It has swarm in it.
Yeah, I remember the time.
But what this guy said, which makes more sense to me than anything else, is the thing that has separated us from chimpanzees and our other relatives is the fact that we're able to exist in larger numbers as far as not killing one another. And what I mean by that is Goodell and people like that in Africa were surprised when one of the communities that they were studying broke apart because there's a there's a maximum number that can exist in a I wouldn't say tribe, but a group of chimpanzees.
Yeah.
And as soon as they broke up, the larger group attacked the smaller group and attacked apes they knew and that they liked. Killed even the grandpa that when they were
without propaganda.
And exactly. And this
Without
tendency
media propaganda, we have no idea what kind of
Well, that's an
This-
interesting
this
point.
shit throwing.
this tendency of the other is the problem. And I know what you're saying as far as, well, we need to blah blah blah, there are evil people in the world, but part of the problem is, especially in a democracy, it's easy to categorize people who are evil who are not when it comes down to it. For example, there is a person here that I've become friends with that took a lot of time. I'm not going to mention who it is. Yeah, her too. And
we know
from
who
a
he is.
political standpoint,
We know who he is.
from a political standpoint, we are diametrically opposed. And yet, it was very difficult for us to even talk at one point.
Oh yeah.
And we finally come to the conclusion that we can talk to one another and kid one another and all sorts of things like that. But we've been able to do that because we quit categorizing ourselves as evil. It is very easy to jump from, is there something going on?
Shooting in Bronzeville at 35th and King Drive.
We're basically watching the launch and talking at the
There's
same
news.
time. And the launch is much more important than what we're doing now, I think.
Well,
Until we get into the situation that we can exist with one another and talk with one another and not be belligerent, beat up, or whatever people, we've got a problem. Because we are falling back to our more ancient methodology. And I don't think we want to be in a position that all we do is attack one another on stupid things, on really stupid things.
My 2 cents to just throw in, I don't perceive people as evil. I perceive people as either thoughtless or ignorant.
But see, that categorization is a problem.
Most of the time, when somebody does something that we attribute to evilness, they're just like they're an idiot. They're doing things because they don't realize what the impact is, or they're doing things because they do realize the impact and they're just an asshole. But they're not trying to, like, nobody's trying to go out and be evil. Even Satanists are actually good people most of the time. Like, evil with a capital E is, like, you know, directed and intentional. Evil with a small e being, I just don't give a fuck, so I'm going to go and do what I want to do.
But
like, billionaires are evil with a small e.
But the problem is
But I'm not
there's
gonna-
there
I'm not
someone
gonna
that
attribute-
is evil with a large E can manipulate the things we're talking about here.
Yeah, but those
can-
guys aren't actually
But see,
trying
no,
to
no,
be
no, no,
evil.
no, no,
They're
no.
trying to be. They think they're smart and good.
No, no, no. What I'm saying is an individual that's evil can be controlled. An individual that's evil and convinces large groups of people that they are correct is the problem.
Well, you're talking about Hitler, you're talking about Trump, you're talking about the.
I'm talking about everybody that's in power
Dominated the
that
20th
has
century.
turned out to be an asshole,
Or
from
just in human
Stalin
history.
to Mao to, you know, anyone that you can think of that was just a jerk. Marcos, think, you know, I can give you 30
So
people
the old
leaders.
adage, power corrupts, absolutely power corrupts, absolutely. Yes,
I don't think it's that simple though.
I think it is.
I think that people that are evil
Give me
and
power.
take power
I will show you.
have an understanding of how to rev everybody up to take normal, good people
Mhm.
and turn them into people that are willing to stand aside while evil is done. And that is a massive, massive problem.
Okay.
I could say part of it is our educational system now, not having civics in anymore, not having
Well, that's more of
an
just
ethics,
fucking up
an
our
ethics
present
based thing, because we
democracy.
have to focus on reading and writing, you know, the Bush
No, John,
bullshit.
left.
The- our enculturation has changed. I can remember when I was growing up that immigrants were almost in a celebratory mode
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
Because we had allowed a lot of immigrants in during and before World War II that became very productive people in society.
Well, honestly, I'm not aware of any actual group of immigrants in American history that were not actually a net benefit overall.
No, you're right.
I mean, there's a reason why we have the inscription under the Statue of
Yeah.
Liberty that we do, even though the people in charge right now have seemingly never paid attention to that nor understood
They
it.
can barely read.
Well, and the French,
Some-
I think, want
some
that.
of them read it very well, but
I think the French wanting it back is
Yeah,
another
that's
whole
right.
matter.
Send it back, you guys. No longer
You
deserve it.
screwed up.
Well, and I think the answer is we have. I mean, part of the problem is self-examination.
And in the internet, you don't have to do that. You can
Right.
just like go online and say, "Hey, you guys suck," and then leave.
And
See,
I-
the issue there is anonymity, you know, so,
Which is why we
That's-
don't let our cops wear masks, hiding their,
yeah, it's
I'm
like,
going to go get some more alcohol. Or are we
I gotta
about
be
done?
honest with you, we're getting close to the time frame.
What are we at then?
We're running into about hour, and I do have stuff that I need to move on to, so I'd say another 10 minutes, and
Okay, I
We
won't
need
go
to
do that then, and we will finish.
tidy up, unless you really need a beer.
no, I'm good. Are you gonna go get another drink?
No, we're going to hold off and finish here.
All right, what do we
He's
do?
already gotten a second beer.
That's
I think
'cause
that that's very
I'm-
selfish.
Well, no.
You're an efficient drinker. Move on.
I didn't realize I needed to be the waiter as well as the tech guy. I'll take care of you next time. Don't worry.
You didn't need to take care of us. You just needed to allow us to do the same thing you did.
What are you talking about?
You don't just worry your little head.
Oh,
Don't you just
even
worry your
go
little
there.
head.
Don't even go
Hey,
there.
don't worry your little head.
See, I remembered what you taught me. I didn't tuck my thumb.
She
Oh, yeah,
kept,
you got to keep the thumb.
Yeah.
That's how you break your thumb.
Yeah.
and actually, you don't want to hit somebody with your fist in the face.
Why? Because you'll
Because you'll
break your
fist.
fist. Because you got more bones in
No.
your head. What about if I hit you on the soft side?
Like backhand hammer.
Well, that's possible, but I was thinking
Those are always my favorite.
this one or elbow.
I just like headbutt them and call it a day.
That works.
But you got to make sure you go top of the head. 'Cause
Well, that you get your head down.
you don't want to like mess up your frontal lobe while you're messing up their face.
Now we're talking about how
Brawling,
violent we are.
Street fight. Let's go. I have not punched another person outside of a sparring match since I was 13.
I will tell you, I have never punched another
I have been
person.
punched a bunch of times.
Even when you were working short patrol.
I punched a guy a bunch of times right outside the bar one night, but it's because he had just seen Fight Club, and it's like, let's go and fight. And I'm like, are you a dumbass? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's go. So we went around the corner. And we
Oh,
punched each other a couple
God.
of times. And then this other guy comes up, like, are you guys doing Fight Club? Like, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. I just like hit me right in the face. I was like, dude, you
I
here?
don't know you.
Oh no, I knew him.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
He's done. Anyway,
I've always been big for my age, so people generally don't look at me as someone that they want to punch.
except for you.
And I'm not, except for her. Yeah, she has punched me a few times.
I have not.
You have actually, to the point that I told you, please don't do that, or if you do it at the wrong time,
This could be damaged.
there might be a left hook coming back.
This is gotta be
So,
years ago.
the freedom to get punched and the happiness of not getting punched.
There you go. So I want to continue this thought because
Yeah.
I think by talking about it, we're distilling a little bit about maybe what we need to do, because we're not getting any help from anyone else. From the intelligentsia, they're all worried about stupid bullshit. You know, I've beat up our friend Gil, who is maybe on next time.
Okay.
About philosophy and the fact that they basically advocated a lot of their responsibility for keeping us on track as human beings.
I don't think they ever thought that was their job. To be honest.
I think that's pretty much their job is the problem. I mean, if we're still,
Well, when academia turned into what it turned into today,
which I'm not sure I know what it is.
I'm not sure how to describe that. I think that would be a good one to bring up with Gil.
Well, if Gil wants to work still, I'm not sure that is a good thing to bring up with him. Yeah, we can talk about it anytime you want, but someone that's involved in it.
Academia, get fucked. I know that's somebody else's catchphrase, but I'm going to steal it.
So anyway, let's just wrap up.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of different things that we could go through, and I think we kind of
We tend to start going in circles.
Control. Going back to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness should not be guaranteed, but it should be the ability
Possible.
to chase it. Also, happiness is a temporary state. It's not a.
And see, this is
It's
part of
not
the problem too. We have
a
people.
thing.
We have people in this country that believe you should be happy all the time, and
And they're crazy.
that's not life.
They're just dumb.
I mean, there are lots of circumstances where in the midst of tough times, it was great to go with people and have a couple of drinks and
Yeah.
decompress and understand that there's life and the things you need to do to keep alive. And there is no way in a world where you have to do things to generate food and a place to live and everything else, that you're going to be happy all the time.
No, but
we have a group of people now that consider that to be true.
okay.
And I don't know, let me put this by. How do you judge happiness if you don't have problems and things that make you sad? I mean, if you're in a continuous state of happiness,
Well,
it's sort of like living in California in the weather. We talked about that a little bit
how
earlier.
can you enjoy the nice weather if
Yeah.
you haven't had shitty weather?
Yeah, it's that.
A lot of people do it. A lot of people don't have a problem with it. They just don't think about it. But you can't go out and be like, oh my God, the weather's amazing right now when it's not normally amazing. Also, it's like, oh my, like, have you ever had a chronic pain?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
then it was gone, and you're like, oh my God, this feels so great not to be in pain.
Sort of like I've been hit in the head with a 2x4, and as long as no one does that again, I feel a lot better.
Well, especially after you recover from having gotten hit. Yeah. I think that having the negative be the reason that you can have an enjoyment of the positive, I don't think that's valid. I think it's more pronounced, but I don't think that you can not enjoy it.
I'm not going to the extreme negatives and positives that I think you just went on.
Well,
I'm going on the
I'm
fact
also
that
saying-
life is not a continuous I'm happy.
I'm going to stand with Dennis Leary, and it's like happiness is a piece of chocolate, a kind word, an orgasm. It's there, it's gone, move on. And don't spend all your time trying to get that little dopamine. Enjoy it when it happens, but if that's your entire focus in existence, then you need better hobbies.
Well, we're going to go home and hit some drugs here.
That sounds like a good idea.
You're in your stoic mode right now.
No, I'm in my keep quiet and don't make waves.
Why is that?
Oh, talk, dude.
No,
we're
if you
done.
have something,
We're
if you
done.
have something to
Unless you have
say,
something fun to say.
did we say something that was extraordinarily stupid? If we did,
Yeah.
go
I
ahead.
didn't say anything extraordinarily stupid, but
mildly.
Go ahead.
I don't think you were thorough enough.
Oh, there, I am never thorough enough. You can bet on that.
That's why we do this while we're drinking.
I probably needed more to drink.
All right, well, I'm going to say let's go ahead and wrap it up for now. We've accomplished very little. We've talked about a whole bunch of things. Spacemen are heading towards the moon.
For the first time.
In my life, wait, when was the last Apollo mission? 76? 74.
Somewhere around in there. Not.
It's the first time men or women have headed to the moon since I've been out of diapers.
That's pretty frightening.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, maybe this is going to be a more interesting thing than we think. Maybe this will start bringing us a little bit together.
Yeah, don't bet on it.
Well,
I know. I'm not very.
I'm always hopeful though. I'm
This
hopeful.
episode not brought to you by
I'm
the Flipper
hopeful.
Zero.
I'm hopeful because I believe that, and this is one of the differences between I think conservatives and liberals, progressives, is I still believe in the general goodness of people.
See, I believe in the general dumbness of people, but I believe that they have goodness within them that can be pulled out, but it's not a default.
So anyway, please
Give
no,
somebody a hug.
yes,
Forgive somebody
absolutely,
who's
absolutely.
wronged you. Try just try to be a good person. Or as my personal philosophy, try to not be an asshole. Just try. Just try. I mean, you're going to be an asshole. You're a human being, but try. And with that, what is it? Like and subscribe.
Thank you. Please subscribe.
We'll be back hopefully next week, and hopefully this one won't take me a week to upload. So sorry about that.
That's no problem.
Bye bye.